I watched the Moody Booty podcast all the way through. And bitch, you better not lie about that eating booty question. Be fucking for real.
Hey everybody, I am your host Elijah Nashay, and you are watching the Moody Booty podcast, but you already knew that. I'm still getting used to saying like the intro again because it's been so long since I have even posted a podcast episode. Your girl's consistency is off, okay? No judgment. But anyways, so yeah, if you are new here, please catch up on, if you're specifically new for the Second Dimension series, definitely go back to episode 1 and 2 because I believe this one would be 3. And yeah, just catch up because I like when people are caught up, so like when I just jump into a video you already knowing rather than being like, what the hell is she talking about type of thing. But in a cap, basically the Second Dimension is a series that will be posted, that is being filmed in the future. No, the Second Dimension series are videos that are posted that were filmed in the past, and now you're seeing them in the future. So like I'm kind of like I'm the past girly right now, and I think that's honestly pretty cool. And this is a new project that I'm working on solely by myself. I haven't even shared it with like friends or family or anything. I just kind of like use this time to express events that are going on in my life and feelings and opinions, and just to kind of like open up a conversation that I could have right now and being able to release that in the future. And I think that that's pretty cool because, like I mentioned in the first episode of Second Dimension, it kind of gives me a free space to release and then come out and talk about it with you guys a year later. That way, you feel me? I've already dealt with it, you know. But I'm enjoying it so far. This is episode 3, like I said, and it's been fun. It's been interesting, and it's just like it's still the beginning, so I'm like easing into it. But it's been really nice. Like I'm actually looking forward to this part of my day, and it honestly feels a bit easy. No pressure. I think that's exactly what I was trying to say. So, yeah. Oh, and for the people who are watching it in order, the last video, my hair was blue, and I literally just dyed it today. Like, oh yeah. Okay, well, this is a tattoo that just needs to come off, like that. But, like, it's sorry. Can you see it? This is actual dye for my hair, and we dyed her, I used 2 different box dyes. One of them was black, and then one of them was like a black purple. So in the sun, it looks purpley, but it also is like black at the same time. So I haven't styled her at all. She probably honestly needs another wash. But I'm excited. So we're no longer blue. I had fun though. Like as summer's coming to a close, I would really like to say that I genuinely had fun this summer when it came to like styling my hair. So I think in the very beginning, I had it half blonde, half black. And that was honestly into like the fall time, I believe. And then the start of summer, I was rocking it all blonde for just like a second. And then I did pink. And then I did like a fuchsia red situation, I think. Yeah. And then I did blue, purple, blue again. And now we're closing it on in with some black. And I wanted to do this because I was kind of over the color. I had fun during the summer with the color. But now I just kind of want like a more solid color that's not so out there. And I'm excited because like once I wash it out, it's pretty much just going, even if it fades to like a brown or something, I'm not really tripping, you know? So yeah, having fun with that. This is actually bothering me like in real life. Ugh, I can't wait till it comes off. But how are you doing? What? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Ah! Oh my goodness. My hair is actually bothering me. I think it looks crazy. It's still like drying, so it's like a little damp. Then it's like poofy and kind of like a little frizzy, but it is what it is, babe. Okay, so for those who are being hard-headed and not watching these in order, it might be a little confusing. So the only bit that I'll say, and then you could just go back to the other videos and catch up on it. But for those where this would be your first video, I am right now in my life, by this time of you watching it, it will be a year later, but right now in my life, I'm going through a breakup, and I would like to say that I'm handling it pretty well. I talked a lot about that in episode 1, and then I talked about the uglier parts of myself and things that I wish that I would have saw that I could have done differently in episode 2. But today, I'm not sure if I'll spend like the whole episode talking about it. I really hope I don't. But today, I wanted to almost like talk about, I don't want to overwhelm myself about the future, right? I do want to consider the future because, girl, just be open-minded to some things, but I don't want to overwhelm myself. The breakup is still very, very fresh. I'm not looking to talk to anybody in specifics. I don't necessarily even want a relationship right now or anything like that. But what I do want to acknowledge is the fact that I now have the leisure to entertain anything that I want to, and I think what it is like I'm going to have to, I think it's going to genuinely take time for me to understand that and then want to go for it. Some people, they're different, like they can do it with ease or maybe even a little bit more quicker than myself, but for me it's like I'm almost having to untrain myself of what I've been used to for the duration of my last relationship, and really realizing like, hey, you're single now, like, you can, do certain things. And so anyways, the other day I am on a lunch break and, I'm trying to be a little bit more active. So I wanted to, get out, move my legs around, get some vitamin D, things like that. Excuse me. So I'm on a lunch break. I go outside. I'm walking just for a little bit and I'm on the phone with one of my friends. And after a bit, I hear some guy like shouting. And so I look over, and that like already was like a little puzzling for me, just because social interactions and me, like I'm not always like there for that, And so I was like, oh my God. And especially with everything happening that's so new, again, not only am I having to retrain my brain to be like, okay, well, you kind of can entertain this if you wanted to, but I'm also, the breakup is still fresh. I'm not ready to just jump into anything right now, or even the smallest bits of talk. Like, let me just be easy, And so when he did it, I was just like, oh my God. And anyways, so he's shouting after me. And I look over and he was just like, he was saying stuff and I was just like, what? And he kept saying something about like keys. And so like when he's closer at this point, he's walking up to me and he's a lot closer. And he was just like, either he said you dropped your keys or he dropped his keys. And I was taken back because I'm like, I don't even have keys. And I'm not going to lie, like I'm just so weird about just strangers in general. And when he said it in my head, I was just like, are you about to kidnap me? Cover my mouth? Like, whatever. So then he's like, long story short, it was like, I can't remember the exact pickup line, but it was funny. Basically, it was something along the lines of one of us dropped our keys, and I was just like, what? He's like, yeah, the keys to my heart. I was hoping that, I forget what he said, and I was like, and I looked at him and I was like, you are retarded. And he was just like, he was like, yeah. He was like, that was nice. I was like, yeah, that was cool. He was like, I was wondering if I could use that. And I was just like, yeah, you could use that or whatever. And it was a thing. And anyways, we spent like the rest of my lunch break. He wound up just walking around with me. And like he's asking me certain things, and he's asking me about, I think I may have asked him first what his sign was, and we're just talking about like little stuff. He asked me what I did for a living. I asked him what he did. And he was very, very nice, very respectful. But again, going back to the anxiety stuff, I was like, my social media was done. Like, I didn't want to talk no more. And luckily, my friend stayed on the phone with me like the whole time. But yeah, it was something new for me. And I only said that little bit just to say that I do hope that, again, I know I'm not ready to jump into anything else right now. Like, I'm not even looking, wouldn't want to try. I even told the guy that because he wound up trying to ask me out. And I was just like, hey, like, I'm actually just fresh out of a relationship. I'm not looking for anything like that. Not even a date. Like, and he was like, okay, I can respect that. And that was that, right? And then yesterday, my mom and I went grocery shopping. And I'm happy that I did what I did at the grocery store just to kind of like slowly, when the best thing I can say as advice is when you're already doing something out of your ordinary, I would recommend for a spirit similar to mine for you to indulge in something that's still out of the ordinary for yourself, but where you're comfortable to do it, where you're doing it with a little bit more ease, and it's okay for you, versus something that is just completely out of your comfort zone. Example, me taking that guy up on a date after we were walking around, I knew I didn't want to do it, and I knew I wasn't ready to do it, and I wouldn't have wanted to put myself in a situation that I just wasn't ready to do, right? But then yesterday, I'm at the grocery store, and this guy is like ringing us up, and he was just very calm. He was just doing his job, and he was just very like short in his responses, but like in a, oh, like, okay, is that really how you are type of thing? And so I asked him, I was just like, I was like, is your personality normally like that? Like, you just like really chill? And he was just like, yeah. He's like, I just do what I'm asked, and I'm pretty quiet at work or whatever. And it was just calm. It just, I felt the vibe. Not like there was a vibe there, but I'm saying like I felt his vibe. Versus the other guy, I was just like, so I felt comfortable enough to engage in a conversation. Hopefully this is making sense, but for me, I get scared off very easily, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, because I'm trying to go very slow with myself, I do fear that hopefully I can open up a lot more in the future. And I'm having a hard time saying what I mean. And I'm so sorry that I wasted so much time trying to even say basically nothing. But the guy at the grocery store, he was literally just doing his job. And I feel like, if anything, I was doing an exercise just simply talking with him. And I felt comfortable enough to just even literally speak because he was just there. And so I just took it upon myself to use that as an exercise to have a conversation with somebody I don't know. And then it also being a guy, if that makes sense. That sounds so weird that I even said that, being a guy. But it's true. Like, I'm way more comfortable with women than I am men. So, there's that. But versus the other guy, like, he was very forward, followed me, and met me, and then walked around with me, and then asked me about a date, asked me for my number. Like, it was so much all at once where I'm like, whoa, dude. Versus the other one, it was just like, hey, so, da-da-da-da. And I left it at that. He didn't, and he left it at that, and I paid for my stuff, and I left. And, I just hope that if I can find myself doing more scenarios like that, that maybe one day I can be approached by the guy, like by somebody like the other guy, where it's just like, hey, how's it going? Hey, you trying to meet up later for dinner? And I can maybe take it a step further. But I'm trying to treat myself and give myself with a lot more grace, because like, girl, you literally just got out of a whole 7-year relationship. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to move too long as if I'm still in a relationship, or still move around with those same mannerisms, as if talking with other people wouldn't be right, or just still being uncomfortable about it. Like, even being as far as to be like, hey, if a guy asks me like, hey, can I have your number? I need to stop saying, oh, I'm in a relationship, I actually have a boyfriend. Now, if I'm genuinely not interested in them, that's fine. Like saying, actually, like, I'm really not interested, but thank you. But getting out of the habit of being like, oh, well, like, I'm still in a relationship, or I have a boyfriend. Because I feel like subconsciously I'm using the past relationship more as a crutch, versus just, being myself and being like, actually, thanks, but no thanks. So, does that make sense? I hope so. Oh my God. So right now, in the second dimension, last night, I watched with one of my friends the second episode of Insecure, season 5. And bro, like, I am so in love with Issa Rae, like, so in love with her. And I don't want to judge the 5th and last season of Insecure, by the way, as of right now. It's the last season. I'm pretty sure the show ended, but here's hoping that they come back in a couple years, whatever, that's beyond me. But I'm really trying to like stick it out, but I don't know if it's just me, but season 5 is just not giving. Like, I don't know, bruh. I don't know. And I know I'm not tripping because me and my friend, we were talking about it together because we were watching it, and he felt the exact same way. Like, it was just kind of like, what is going on here? Like, something about it is just like a little different. It feels like a little rushed versus like season 1 through 4. Like, there was just so much more going on. The shows were a little longer. Or like the shows individually were like a lot longer, and there was just like, I don't know, but this one, it feels so sped up and also very choppy. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about it, but more to come on that. I don't know, maybe, like I said, I'm trying to definitely stick it out. And that's another reason, fun fact about me, I don't know if I shared it on the podcast before yet, but I hardly ever finish TV shows. Like, if I'm not actively watching it with somebody else, I won't finish it. Like Grey's Anatomy, I loved that show. New Amsterdam, loved that show. Pretty Little Liars, that was still a really good show. What are some other what's that one show? What, Zendaya? Euphoria. Love that show, and there's been so many more, and I literally cannot ever bring myself to watch the last, like, I'll stop before I hit like the last 4 or 5 episodes. In my head, I'm just like, I hold the power. I don't want there to be a stupid ending. I don't want there to be an ending at all. Like, I don't want to see it. And I'm honestly starting to feel that way about Insecure. And I'm so happy that Shankar was just like, okay, well, I haven't seen season 5 yet, and you haven't seen season 5 yet. And I know how you feel about watching the last of an episode or like a last of a show. So, like, do you want to watch it together? And I was just like, yeah, girl, I would love that, because I wanted to actually see myself finish it because I'm so in love with the show. And then we started, and it's on bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm, like I said, more to come, because maybe they'll really start to kick in. But, like, look, we're about to start watching episode 3, and there's only 10 episodes in the season. And it's like, if y'all don't start coming hard, I don't know. And then they're only like 25 minutes. Like, I'm sick. I'm kind of sick. Like, I don't know. I know just now how all over the place, like, if you think about the 2 topics that I just talked about, like, I'm crazy, because I just talked about, like, me being single and then the show, and now I'm about to be talking about something else. But people do that in podcasts. Like, that's fine. And this is real life. So, and I'm excited because I forget if I told you guys about my plans. I don't think I mentioned it in the last episode, but we are vastly approaching the weekend. And like I was saying, a little bit there ago, where I said I wanted to be like a little bit more active, and like, I'm trying to walk on like all my breaks and stuff. So one of the things that I've really been enjoying, I think I did mention this. I've been going, maybe I didn't. Anyways, I've been doing a lot more walks like by the river and stuff. And last weekend I went with 2 of my friends, and it was so forking hot, bro. So this Saturday we are supposed to, and tomorrow's Friday, by the way, but this Saturday we're supposed to be going to the water or down by the river to do like another, like, be on the trail and walk around and stuff. And we're gonna be doing it in the morning, and I'm so freaking excited about that. And lately I've been doing a lot of overtime, so I already kind of told myself that I probably won't be doing overtime, at least for Saturday. And anyway, so we're going to be spending the morning on a nice little trail walk, and then I think we're going to do coffee. One of them invited me to go swimming at their parents' house, so I might be doing that. And then we were talking about getting a tattoo. I know for a fact I talked about that in the last episode, but I don't think I mentioned when I was supposed to be doing it. So Fingers crossed. I'm trying to find like a good person that I genuinely like their work, and the prices is talking. But I'll keep you guys posted on that. Maybe I'll show you a nice little exciting piece in the future episodes. But that's something that we're supposed to be doing. And then I feel like we're supposed to be doing something else. But that's just one part, right? So I'm excited for this weekend to kind of just something that I talked about in the last episode was just like being more in my feminine energy and finding that. And I do feel like who you're around and what you're doing and how you present yourself really helps create that energy, honestly. And so I'm excited to be outdoors and being a little, a tad bit adventurous and doing spontaneous things like the tattoo and being around a good vibe, that being supplied by friends and myself. And literally is something as simple for me as a cup of coffee. Little things make me genuinely happy. So I just feel like this weekend is really just going to supply that happiness. And I'm just hoping that bit by bit, your girl really starts to really just suffocate in her feminine aura. And I know suffocate is a very bold word, but that's just how I'm feeling, And then the weekend after that, my one best friend, she's coming out of town and nobody knows about that yet. I think she's honestly trying to surprise my mom and then my two friends, the ones that I'll be with this weekend. I think that she wants to surprise them. So she's coming out here and I'm so excited because it's been some months since I've seen her. And I know both of us and we're very, very, very close. Like she's just one of my greatest best friends. And I just know like the things that are going on in my life and the things that are going on in her life. I just know that we can give each other like really, really good support and just comfort in those times. And one thing I love about my friend group, side note, I love that we can genuinely be us and then and at the same time be together in a room but be completely quiet. And sometimes like that's all the comfort you need is to just know that somebody's right there and the space that you guys have built between each other is just so comfortable that you could just sit there. And anyways, I'm really, really excited for her to come out, and she's supposed to be driving by herself. So here's hoping everything with her travels goes great. So I'm looking forward to that, but that's not this weekend, that's next weekend. And within the same weekend, my older sister, I don't think she's ever even, because my little sister has been on my other channel, but I don't think my older sister's been on my channel. And anyway, she's supposed to be coming out here for her birthday the same weekend that my best friend is coming out. So I'm just excited to be out there, you know what I'm saying, and doing stuff and actually looking forward to it. So we have some things to look forward to. I'll let you guys know how everything goes, and I'll definitely try to keep filming like consistently, if that makes sense. And then if not, I'll just have to update you guys, because one of the things that I was so excited to film about it doesn't matter anymore, but before the breakup, a couple months before the breakup, I wound up going camping with his family, bruh. And and I never even talked about it in the podcast. And what I wanted to do, the way everything was so freaking crazy. And honestly, one thing about the camping trip, right? I was like so taken back, not trying to be funny, but in my mind, and I actually genuinely asked people, like, what does one do camping? Like, I couldn't really picture how something like that would even go. Like, you guys just sit outside all day? Like, I could see a day trip at the beach, but for it to be a day's worth of events, like, what do you do, And then it was so interesting to just go and to see it. And then because you're camping and you are doing things outdoors, it's like every task takes time. And the time is a part of the day, so it doesn't really feel like you're just sitting around. Because, like, now you're cooking a meal. You wake up, and let's start from the beginning. You wake up, you take your first piss, then you shower, and that takes a minute because you don't want to touch anything, and then you get out the shower or whatever, and then you got to be extra careful because, again, you don't want to touch anything, which is already like a 30-minute thing. And then you walk back to your campsite and you cook, which already takes a fucking minute because you're cooking outside. And then when you're done cooking, you eat, which is a whole nother thing. And then you have to clean up, which is a whole fucking nother thing because you're not in the actual kitchen. You're cleaning outside. You're cleaning your kitchen outside. And it's a whole thing. And so anyways, all those things genuinely take time. And that's not even, talking about the activities like going out to go swimming and playing the games and the cards and sunbathing and stuff like that. So I was actually able to really get the experience, and like now all my answers are answered because I'm like, I get it now. But and so going back to my point, one of the podcasts that I never filmed that I really, really wanted to was when I was actually out camping. I really wanted to bring my podcasting equipment to film one video, but film every day as like a talking session like this, and just kind of like updating like my experience, what I thought, how I felt, what I did, what we were about to be doing. And going back to my original point, you're so busy all damn day. I genuinely, even if I packed the podcasting stuff, I don't even think I would have got to it because like you were just always doing something. And then another thing with the sites, everybody was in very close quarters. So honestly, me like doing this, I couldn't even imagine doing there because I probably would have felt like everybody could hear me because, bro, it was a whole thing. But it was honestly so much fun. I was nervous on certain parts because, it's a me problem, but I get nervous like spending the night away from my bed or being around too many people. I was nervous about my social meter completely running high and just being very uncomfortable. But honestly, like it wasn't horrible at all. Like it was nice. Not something that I would do often, not something I would do every year, camping in general, but it was a good time, and I'm honestly glad that I went. Speaking of, not to like dibble and dabble, but what actually makes me sad? Like not sad. Definitely not sad. Like damn. So me and him were together for 7 years, for those who don't know. And for a lot of that time, I was not, his family and myself, we weren't close. And it's the part where I'm like, damn, it's because we actually started working on the relationship within this past year. Just kind of like, getting to know each other more, or just like me showing face and coming around, and the atmosphere or the conversations, the words, the tone, everything was a lot healthier as of the last year. So that's where I'm like, damn, because I'm just mad it took that long type of thing or whatever. So yeah, that, and when I went, his peoples was there. So it was really, really nice. It was so nice just to be around, the family, and there was so many laughs, and it was comfortable, and I really, really liked it. So there was that. Bruh, I'll probably say this last bit, and if I can't like think of anything else, I'll just close out for today. But one video, or there was a podcast that I was watching earlier. I don't know if the people that are watching this have seen the podcast that I'm about to talk about, but there's this podcast called The Really Good Podcast by Bobby Altoff, I think is her last name. And so many people are talking about this girl. So basically, she kind of grew her main following through TikTok, and she would do like she does like mom content and hacks and dry humor videos and stuff like that. And she literally has like over 5 million, she literally has like over 5 million followers. And then just recently, she started a YouTube podcast called The Really Good Podcast. And this girl has had this one guy, she probably only has about like maybe 4 or 5 videos on her channel, right? But because she's popular in the TikTok world, yes, but there are still so many people who didn't know about her. So when she had her podcast, and every video has like a very known guest right? And so there's this one guy, I don't really know him by name. And then the first video that I saw of hers was with Funny Marco. If anybody knows him or what he got going on, he is so effing funny, right? So that one was funny as hell. And that was what made me go to her page, look her up on YouTube, and it was a whole thing. Then quickly after that, bruh, she had Drake as a whole guest star. So that was when she really blew up by everybody, where everybody's like, who is this girl? Like, where'd she come from? Like, it's a whole thing. And anyways, so she had him, and then she had Tyga just recently, and then she had another guy, and there's two guys that I don't really remember their names, and I don't know who they are at all, but it was just so crazy, because once Drake got on her podcast, people were really like, oh my gosh, like, who is this girl? Like, she was just recently on the news, and she's doing like a whole bunch of other interviews on other people's platforms, because people are really trying to figure out who this Bobby girl is, right? So the first podcast, if you go on her page, there's this guy that I just found out that he has a podcast. And it's like the last hour before I started filming, I was watching his podcast with her as a guest. What I'm about to say, try to follow me because it's going to sound confusing. One thing about her podcast is she has very dry, uncomfortable humor. It's almost like, I don't want to, oh yeah, I'm not going to say that. But she says very witty things that almost can come off rude because of how dry she's saying it. And she's playing basically a character, but that's how she is throughout her whole podcast. So if you watch the one of her and Drake, she, like, basically any accomplishment, any interest that you have, what you're doing with your life, she's very dry about it. Like, and she's very, no filter at that. So like, how much money do you have in your bank account? Or, oh, how'd that divorce go that you were just in? Or she'll say very bold stuff like that, and it's very uncomfortable, but it's the way she says it, because she's just like, oh, so like, that's all you're doing with your life? How's that going for you? And she doesn't make eye contact. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. But in certain cases, depending on who she has on her show, it's actually funny. Like, Drake made it funny. Funny Marco made it so damn funny, because Funny Marco talks like a damn child. Like, it's so funny. I recommend anybody who made it this far in my podcast episode, go watch the one of her and Funny Marco. Even watching like their little mini clips on her TikTok, it's hilarious. Love it. Anyways, that's honestly between her and Funny Marco, like, out of all her guests, that was probably my most favorite podcast episode. But going back to the other guy, I'm gonna actually, instead of calling him the other guy, let me see what the hell. Let me see. Rick is his name. Rick Glassman. And so she had him as one of her on her channel. I'm going by that. He is the very first video with her. And so they're just being like crazy with, he's funny too. I really, really like him, right? So then just recently, literally 2 days ago, I guess he had her on his podcast. And this is where it gets interesting. Let me know how you guys feel about this. So, like I told you, her niche is like the super asshole, dry humor, awkward, kind of cringe. Like, it almost makes you a little uncomfortable because of what she's saying. And it's just like, oh my gosh, girl, like, them is fighting words type of thing. So it's interesting because so now I'm watching his episode with her on it, and she is genuinely getting offended by how he's acting. Mind you, as soon as I pressed play on his video, I loved it. I loved it hella much. He came with the energy. Like, and his jokes were actually funny to where, like, for her, because she's so dry with it, you're almost like, girl, ease up, like, you know. But with him, to me, I could tell when, like, that he was joking, and the jokes were actually funny. So she winds up saying that she was, like, getting annoyed with, like, how he was or whatever. And so she was like, I just don't really like the ins and outs. Like, you keep going from serious to joking, like, I don't really know how to take it. And she's like, you're being rude. And she's like actually being serious, to my understanding. And basically his whole thing is, girl, like, whether you feel like I'm being rude or not, for one, it's comedy, remember that. And for two, what do you do on your own channel? And so I felt him, because I'm like, she's like low-key being like hypocritical, because like, you know, and like there's this one thing that he did. This was what really took me back, where I'm like, girl, are you okay? Because he was like, what happened? He was like, he was being funny, right? And so almost like, if you guys ever watch Funny Marco's like podcast show or whatever that he also has, he does dramatic ass shit, and his whole crew behind the camera does funny ass shit as a joke. And so one of the things that this Rick guy did was, before that they were already filming, right? But he was about to make it seem like they were about to start the episode. And so he asked one of the people in his staff, like, hey, can you count from 20? Which already sounds mad extra, because it's like, usually people say count from 5, you know, maybe 3, 2, 1, you know. 5 sounds a little bit long. So he asked the guy in the staff to count from 20. And so when she was going back to the episode itself, and she was getting like offended about what he was saying, he was like, I was just joking. And he was like, I mean, he's like, when I had them count from 20, wasn't that funny? And she was like, no, I thought that was mean. And it was just more of like, it was taking me back a bit, because I'm like, you're literally, for one, that was obviously a joke. I don't even understand how that was taken as rude. And for two, like, genuinely, are you okay? It's like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting, and it almost makes you like not want to see how a person really is, and you only want to see them as their character, because when you see more about them, you're like, I don't know. It low key, like, no shade, no tea, and I'm sure she's a great person, but like, it did put a touch of a bad taste in my mouth, if I had to be honest, because I'm just like, that's almost like going on Wild 'N Out as a comedian and then like not being able to take a joke. Like, why are you here? You know? And I could tell off tops how he is how he is. And usually I'm going to assume that if you're going to go on somebody's platform, you're going to do a little bit of research about them. You might watch a little bit of their content, if not binge watch their content. Like, you knew how he'd be coming. So it's like, what more did you expect? You knew he was going to say jokes, and to my knowledge, he genuinely wasn't doing too much. And I am going to consider the fact that people can cut stuff out and angle it and, you know, do their thing. And maybe stuff was said behind closed doors or something. But it was just, I was like, I don't know. It's a little weird, girl. But I'm excited to see where her podcast goes, though. I very much am excited for that. I wonder who her next guest was going to be. They wanted briefly talking about it in his episode, like on his podcast, but they bleeped out the name. And a video hasn't come out yet about it, so I'm interested to see, like, what's to, you know? Oh, he did say something crazy, though. It was funny, because, like, they wanted to talk, because she's very, very new, like, to podcasting, and it's just so unbelievable, like, a beautiful thing, but that's why she's the talk of the town right now, because she blew up so fast for being so unknown to having huge ass celebrities like Drake on your platform as a beginning guest. Like, girl, she literally has like five videos right now of people, so you would think, you know, and then like she just started like a couple of months ago. Like, it's very new. It's impressive as fuck. And so one of the things that he wound up saying, because she was even talking about, she's like, I still don't know what I'm doing. I don't even really know what to make of my podcast. Like, she's just not sure that's what she said out of her own mouth. She's just not sure. So somehow they get on the topic of basically like how long it will be until her podcast goes like down. And so he winds up saying, he's like, honestly, he was like, this is just me being honest. He's like, I do feel like you'll probably be good for like the next 2 months. And it was bold, because like that's like an ouch moment. But I'm not gonna lie, like, no hate. I don't know what his reasons were for, like, why he said that. But I understand why he said that, because for me, I get very, and I can imagine a lot of viewers at home are like this, I get very uncomfortable watching cringy stuff. So, like, just as an example, I could never sit through a video where, like, people are on YouTube and they're doing pranks, but they're doing public pranks. You've seen those crazy, like, Funny Marco started off like that. Like, he would walk up to strangers at Walmart and do random shit. It makes me genuinely uncomfortable, right? But even then, like, you could almost see jokes out of that. For me, I'm just like, nah, like, I don't like it. But to take it a step further and then you're dry with it, like, oh, where did you get that outfit? looks like you got it at the Goodwill. And then she's doing it with people that's not like it's like her friends or family where they know, so it feels better in the room. You're doing it with genuine strangers, people you don't know. To me, I could see it going down like that, because that's kind of like what you're offering in a sense, where it's like, where is the joke after a while? And then if you don't have a good guest, because that's what she provides to the show, as far as like her own aura. When you don't have a good guest to carry the weight of it to actually make it funny, I can see why he said after a while it may go down, because what really is the show doing? Like, funny, even as great as Drake is, right, and how big as he is, I genuinely feel like Funny Marco's was probably her best episode, in my personal opinion, but it was because it was actually genuinely funny. So, and he was able to, like, he just kept shooting back at her, and it wasn't even that he was doing dry humor as well. He's just so he is so funny to me, man, and that's what made it funny. But I feel like, if, and not to say she would ever watch my podcast, but like, one thing I could say, just as like a viewer's point of view, I think it's going to be the most important to have a personality for your platform where you're carrying the weight. And then when you have guests from time to time who add to that just because they add to it, that's great. But at least be able to carry the weight of your podcast and bring, like, that rich guy. I loved his aura. And whether Bobby was there or not, like, I would have just fully watched him. And I loved that. And I want, and because it's still new for her, I'm sure she's still figuring out her process and stuff like that. But I'm so excited to genuinely see where it goes in the future. And I'm hoping that it lasts longer than 2 months, because what he said was crazy. But I could see where he was going with this. So I do hope that soon enough she can put together a plan where it goes this way and continues to go this way, because it's funny. I do really, really like it. I hope she finds more guests in the future similar to Funny Marco, or maybe he comes back, because that the dialogue itself just between the two, like when she has a funny guest and what they're saying is crazy. another one I didn't even mention, Yachty. She had him there too. And that one was another funny one. That one was funny too. But they're like, I feel like they're picking up the slack and they're actually making it funny. No shade, no tea. But yeah, that's my little spiel on that. Sorry that I ranted for like so long. Yeah. Before I get out of here, I actually almost choked because I was on the phone with Joyce, right? I was on the phone with Joyce, and when we jumped on the phone, I was watching Bobby's podcast episodes. And so I guess I kind of had like a little Bobby in me, right? So I'm on the phone with Joyce, and we're talking for a minute, and then Bobby's aura like came out of me almost. And so I start talking like her, hella monotone and just awkward. And like, I forgot what I said. I was just like, cause my nail is like a purple. And I was just like, yeah, I dyed my hair, on my lunch, and now my hand's all purple. And I just kept like talking like that. I kept talking like that, and she was like, ow, I actually have a back spasm right now. Hold on. She was like, ooh. She was like, why are you talking? She was like, why are you talking like that? But she actually genuinely sounded concerned, and I had to cover my mouth, because one thing about it, I feel like it's so funny when you have insiders for yourself. Like, that should be funny when you actually do it to other people and they don't know what the fuck is going on. That shit made me, that was probably like an add-on to my day. Like, that was so great. Oh my gosh. I had to get that out. I'm gonna stop here because I'm done talking. And I'll see you guys in the next second dimensional episode. Bye. Bye. I'll see you guys in the next dimensional episode if I'm still here, because I don't really want to be here right now.